at the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
And this week, it's Muppet Treasure Island.
From 1996.
Shimmer my side, there are hundreds as strong as the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That is what we are going to discuss.
I wasn't sure if when you said it is, like, you meant it is from 1996, like very 1996, or you meant that's what we're doing.
No, this could have been made in any year. It was really...
I feel like all the Muppets things are kind of like that. Like, they all could have been...
That's how they're supposed to be. It appears that this was the first Disney Muppets movie.
I don't know, though, because on, like, Disney Plus, it says the original Muppet movie, and it has, like, Disney above it.
I gotcha. But it's not Disney. That was a Jim Henson movie.
And they just purchased Jim Henson Productions.
Yeah. This is the first really Disney-produced Muppets movie when Jim Henson was dead, and it is clear.
Oh, okay. So, somebody has some opinions about it, then.
Yeah.
So you hadn't seen this before, then?
No, I have not.
Okay. So I had definitely seen it. Because, it was the last time I was talking about, I remember Tim Curry in it. But
who is a gem. Who is an icon.
Yes. Yeah. And then what I most remember about this is, like, the first time that my family got cable, and we were, like, late to the cable game, this was playing on Disney Channel, like, on repeat, apparently.
Gotcha. Right.
And so I was watching it a lot, but I don't really remember it because it was so long. I was really young, but I do remember it, watching it, though.
All right. So you'd seen it. I hadn't.
But you've watched a lot of the Muppets, though, right?
Well, yeah. I would actually say that I am a big Muppet fan. I like the Muppets.
So I've never really watched a lot of the Muppets. Like, that was not really something that was in, like, our household.
The TV show wasn't on when you were a kid.
What, like Muppet Babies?
No. The Muppets, the television
show.
Oh,
okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't know.
Well, that's like the biggest part of the Muppets, where there'd be, like, the Muppets, and it was like a variety show with, like, celebrities and jokes and...
Yeah, no, I don't know anything about
that. The Muppets
that.
were always kind of like a real solid mix between adult humor and kid humor. And that's why it's really obvious that this was the first Disney.
Gotcha.
Because you could see that they were trying a lot of times to hit that adult humor note, but that it seemed pretty clear that Disney was probably pretty uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite hit with all their little under jokes, and did it? Yeah. You could see the bones of them trying to make the adults laugh, but I don't think that it worked like a normal Muppet thing would, where it makes everybody laugh.
So was Christmas Carol after this then? Was that Disney or was that before this?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. I wasn't sure. So should I read the synopsis?
Well, yeah, that's what you do.
Well, I didn't know if you had more to say, if you were ready. Robert Louis Stevenson's classic pirate tale takes on a life of its own in the hands of the hilarious Muppets. When young Jim Hawkins inherits a long-lost treasure map, he hires a ship to seek his fortune. With the good Captain Smollett, a.k.a. Kermit the Frog, at the helm, the greedy Long John Silver at the heart of the dastardly plot.
Okay, so that's fairly true. I'm just going to go ahead and be upfront with why this movie stinks. That kid is fucking awful.
Dude, okay, so this kid, you know what he looks like? So do you remember Terminator? The lady, Sarah Connor, played Sarah Connor? He looks like her, they have the same face.
And he has a mullet, like...
Yeah,
just
a pirate mullet.
And he sounds terrible, and he's unlikable all the way through the movie. Why wasn't that character a Muppet? They could have done so much better making that character either Gonzo or Fozzie, because they wasted Fozzie in this movie.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to even have him. And he's one of the main characters.
Okay, so because I'm not as familiar with the Muppets, it's Fozzie the Bear, right?
Yeah, Fozzie the Bear. Oh.
Okay.
This is going to make this tougher because I didn't really care about their names in the movie.
Oh, no, that's fine. I know most of them, but I might have to clarify because, like I said, like the Muppets were not an institution when I was a kid, but I know some of it, so.
But that kid was horrible.
Well, and he didn't really do much.
Well, I mean, they featured him a lot, but he was terrible.
Oh, no, I just meant with his life.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it seems like he was a pretty prolific British television actor after this, but who cares? Like,
yeah, well, and he does have a picture on IMDb, and if you have a picture, that means you're still doing stuff, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, he had a full, like, he's just been doing TV. That's fine.
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with this movie. He stinks in this movie, and he makes it awful.
It's definitely not good. Like, all the parts that he was not in were, like, better.
Awesome.
Yeah, they were better than... It was pretty bad.
And so it was directed by Brian Henson, who's Jim Henson's brother.
No, it's his son.
Oh, his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to look that up, too, and I thought it was his brother, but it's his son, I'm pretty sure.
It's his son, who took over from Jim Henson, who died in 1990, which is horrifying.
How did he die?
Cancer.
Oh, okay. Was he young when he died? Do you remember?
40-something,
okay,
50,
so he was young.
maybe early 50s.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't have died. Like, it was a horrifying shock to anybody who was a fan.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, he did okay with, and he's still in control of the Muppet stuff for the most part. Like, he's fine. But this movie, I think, was like they were getting their sea legs. Ah, ha, ha, ha.
How many pirate puns can we do? Yeah, no, he did, and he was a producer on some of the other Muppet movies, too.
Well, sure. I mean, I think he'd always been kind of involved with the Muppets. I mean, it's hard not to when your dad is a crazy genius of Muppetry, you know?
Yeah.
So, it's not a surprise, but I'm sure it was tough to do this by himself.
Well, especially if it's one of the first ones, and, like, if he died in the early 90s, and this
came out...
He died
in 1990, yeah.
So this came out 6 years later, so they probably started working on it, like, two or three years after that.
I would imagine it takes a long time to make a Muppet movie.
Probably, because of all the puppets. Yeah. So it was probably pretty quick after his dad's death. Like, it may be, like, his dad had, like, started planning this movie, and he just kind of, like...
I don't think so, because I think Treasure Island might be owned by Disney, too.
Oh, maybe.
It just seems like it was kind of like a throw together.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Like, I don't know when Disney took over Jim Henson. Was it before his death or after?
Oh, no, it was after. It was way after.
Oh, it was way after.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't really that Disney took over. They got a deal with Disney and Buena Vista, which is ABC, Disney, and a little bit with Nickelodeon, which makes no sense. But yeah, I mean, and even then, I don't think Disney now entirely owns them.
Just partial.
They're just kind of a parent company thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as, I mean, really the only other actors in the movie other than the kid is, like, Tim Curry, and that's it.
And Billy Connolly at the beginning.
Yes, yeah, for a little bit.
It was good at the beginning, but yeah, and Tim Curry is a legend.
Yeah. I mean, any scene that he was in was, like, better than everything else in the movie.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So it's either the scene had to have him or would have to not have the kid for it to have a chance to be good.
If you have, like, Gonzo and Rizzo, those are good scenes, but like, usually the kid was with him.
Yeah.
So that was kind of difficult.
Yeah, Rizzo and Gonzo are amazing.
And then you have obviously all the people that voice the Muppets, which I'm pretty sure are just all the regular people.
Yeah, I didn't even bother to pay attention to that because it's not important.
Yeah. So should we dive into the story?
Time to just dive in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess there's really not many actors in it, so it's like...
No, yeah, that's not this kind of movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we open the movie with this typical pirate song of different singing Muppet-ish puppet characters, which is hilarious. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't realize there were so many, like, I thought in my head that all the Muppets were, like, animals, but they're, like... There's, like, a potato Muppet, and, like...
There isn't anything. I mean, Muppets are just Muppets.
They're not really anything.
They're Jim Henson puppets. That's what Muppets are.
Yeah. But, yeah, basically, it opens with a traditional pirate song and the very traditional pirate font going across the...
Font, yeah.
Yeah, because are they in London? Is that where they are?
So, I would guess.
Okay.
Because there's no other direction.
Yeah, but before they get to, like, the guy who's telling the story, basically, he's telling the story of the pirate burying the treasure.
Old Billy Bones.
Yeah, and he's telling the story of the Flint captain going and burying his treasure, and then he kills all of his men, and so nobody knows where the treasure is except for him.
Right, even though it turns out he was the first mate.
Right, yeah.
Somehow.
And basically it's, once he's done with the story, it's the Billy Bones guy in the pub singing or telling the story and to all of the people in the pub.
Yeah, beware of the one-legged man.
The one-legged man equals death. Which, like, back then, wouldn't there be a lot of dudes with one leg?
You would think. I mean,
having to get them amputated from stuff.
Yeah, like you step on a nail and your leg half rots off. You gotta get it cut off. Like,
yeah,
it would be tough. That's for sure. And there was a lot of drinking at the beginning, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I didn't mind the opening scene until, like, we'll get to it in a second. But so basically, it's just like a typical pub thing, and then there's like the angry lady who runs out, who's got like the big fat belly and booty, and
she's a monster.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. She definitely is. And basically, the pub closes, they kick everybody out, or they go to their, I guess it's more of a tavern, because they all have, like...
It's an inn.
Yeah, an inn, because they all go to their rooms or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Jim, the guy who plays Jim Hawkins, not to be confused with Jim Henson, Gonzo and Rizzo are, like...
They're like slaves to the bar, basically.
And so they're cleaning up, and then they're, like, singing about, like, adventure and like, going off and, like, finding... Like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if we actually found the treasure map? And that's where I was like, oh, man, this kid is terrible. Because he's, like, singing in the most high-pitched voice ever. And it's just, it's awful.
And it's not good.
It's terrible.
I mean, right here.
If it does, I'm gonna hide.
I'll put my courage to the test.
And I'll be by your side.
He'll be by your side. There's gotta be something better than this.
This kid sucks.
Yeah.
And that was the disappointing part to me, is that I knew I wasn't going to like this movie because of that kid. I was like, wait, why is this kid here? He has no place. Why isn't this a Muppet?
Well, and, like, you don't, like... You can have, like, a movie focused around a kid and have it not be annoying, like...
But not a Muppet movie. Like, it should have been a Muppet.
I don't know. I mean, that's just what they did, I guess.
Yeah.
But they could have had a better kid for sure. Like, this, like, non-puberty Sarah Connor mullet mother. This is terrible. It's awful.
Really.
But then, like...
Billy Bones busts back in. Like, more rum!
Yeah, because he's just drunk. And then, meanwhile, the whole joke is, like, they say something, and the chick that's the lady, it says...
The innkeeper.
Yeah, she's like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, how does she do that?
Yeah, she can... It's like she can hear every word they say, and she responds.
I know, after he...
Shocking.
Yeah, because he, like, comes down there, he's like, Brah! He's, like, knocking over, and then he's, like...
And screaming more rum.
And he's like, how does she do that? Well, dude, you were just yelling. Anybody can hear you.
Yeah, and she's yelling back. Don't give him any more rum. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a blind pirate Muppet comes in and just...
Blind Pew is what his name is.
Blind Pew?
Blind Pew.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that in the subtitles?
I believe so.
Okay.
No. They said it. And I had to wait a minute, and they said it again one more time.
Billy Bones, it's me, Blind Pew.
That's how I caught it and wrote it down.
Blind Pew. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wrote blind dude. Comes in. And he, like, you know, is being silly, and he can't find Billy, and he touches, like, the moose on the wall and all this stuff.
Yeah, but yet as soon as Billy pulls his gun, he's able to find him immediately.
Yeah, he, like, runs over and gives him, like, a piece of paper with a black spot.
Black spot.
Which apparently is, like, an omen that the pirates are going to come kill you.
Yeah. So he starts freaking out. It's that you're going to die tonight.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he starts flipping out, goes to pack his stuff up, starts dying for some unknown reason.
He just gets too excitable, I guess. And...
Yeah. And actually dies. But not before he leaves the kid and Gonzo and Rizzo the treasure map. It's for a second you thought that the rum was poisoned, but it wasn't.
No. There's like no explanation for why he died.
Maybe he just psyched himself into death.
Yeah,
And there's a little joke. Somebody's not supposed to die in a kid's movie.
Yeah,
And there's lots of those little jokes, which is a Muppet classic.
Right.
But they're supposed to be the more adult jokes, and they weren't. I mean, there were some that were funny, but it was
not quite there.
It was not as great as it could have been.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. It was a little awkward, but so then it's like a second he dies, all the pirates come and like break through windows to get him.
Yeah, they're coming for Billy. They find out he's dead. They're like, oh, he must have given the map to those girls.
And then the lady, like, she, like, bowls all of them down the stairs with her big belly. She's like, rah!
Yeah, she is kicking Muppet.
Yeah, and then this part I actually did think was cute because then guess what? The kid wasn't in it. Rizzo and Gonzo were like trying to load the gun, and they were like,
Oh, yeah.
they had the bag of gunpowder, and they were like spilling it all over the place. And then they dropped the candle when the guys jump in, and then
and they spilt the bullets all over, so they couldn't fire the gun at all.
yeah, and the dudes start chasing them, and then the candle like lights the big trail of gunpowder, and they're just running back and like in a ridiculous fashion.
Yeah, because in typical Muppet fashion, anytime you're surprised by anything, you throw everything that you have up in the air, which is normal Muppet behavior, is to just throw your hands in the air anytime. Yeah.
I say that like I know that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably because that's like an easy motion for puppet, like
for puppeteers.
if you're puppeting, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean it is, but it's not like everybody did that before. That's a very Muppet thing to do.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So the inn at this point, they chase the kids and Gonzo owners around, but the inn burns down.
And the lady is just like, "Don't worry about me, okay, run away." And it's like
she's still just kicking pirate ass as the inn is burning down. She's probably gonna make slaves out of a couple of those pirates, is the truth.
Yeah.
She's like, "Kids, go away," because they probably kind of suck anyways. Like.
Well, I mean, if you had to be around that kid all day, like...
Pretty weak help, yeah. Seriously. If I had to be around that kid for 10 minutes, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah. But they go in and...
They find Fozzie. Well, they go to the shipbuilder. They're introduced to Fozzie, the moron son of the shipbuilder.
Right.
Who's like, oh, I'll finance and give you a ship.
As he's talking to apparently a little man in his finger.
Yeah, which is like, it's just a total waste of Fozzie Bear, who's supposed to be funny and witty and weird. And in this movie, he's just like a schizophrenic person who talks to his finger.
Yeah, Mr. Bimbo, right?
Yeah, I think it is Bimbo.
Yeah, so they get him, and he's just like, okay, great, nice treasure map, I'll finance your whatever. And there's like two, like, inventor dudes or something?
No, it's Beaker and the Professor.
Oh, okay.
They're normal characters.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're introduced to them. They're the scientists like usual, and Beaker's getting all jacked up like usual. And so they're coming too. We get to the boat with Jim and Rat and Gonzo.
Yeah.
And we meet Long John Silver.
Right. And
the cook.
Yeah, like, come on. It's and this whole movie is telegraphed.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. The other hard part, it's like, wait, you guys are gonna lay it out this easily? Like, a little kid would be like, what the f***, man, this is
of course, that dude's a bad dude. He's super cool.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and he has one leg. Oh, he couldn't be that bad. Oh, but he is.
Yeah, because, like, he, like, shows him the one leg, and they're like, oh my god, and it's like, okay, yeah, obviously he's a bad dude. And he has a pet lobster
that's a pirate.
Yeah, instead of a parrot.
So I don't know why they couldn't have done a parrot. I can't think of a reason, but
I think they were just like, yeah, because they had like a joke in there where Jim was like, "Oh, aren't pirates supposed to have parrots?" And he was like, "That's ridiculous." Ha 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 ha. Like, I think that was kind of the point.
Oh. The captain is a crazy person. He's allegedly psychotic.
Yeah, because they have like the first mate.
He's unhinged.
And what is that Muppet's name typically?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They called him Arrow. I mean, I recognize him. He's a Muppet, but he's not a main one. It was a weird choice for the first mate.
Yeah, because he was like a serious dude, and he's like, "Oh, the captain's coming, blah blah blah. He's terrible," and all this stuff, and then the carriage is like careening through the street, knocking people over, and like all this stuff, and then it comes up and it's just Kermit.
Yeah, it's just Kermit the Frog.
Or Abraham Smollett.
Yeah, Smollett, but nobody cares about that.
Yeah.
And Rizzo at the same time is selling cruise packages to rats, which is hilarious.
It's one of the better gags in the movie is that they like randomly throughout there's just like all these rat couples are doing cruise things, and it makes no logical sense at all.
Right, but that's a very Muppet thing. Like, that's a perfect Muppet joke, is the whole cruise line throughout this movie. That's a perfect Muppet joke.
Yeah.
And there's not enough of those throughout this. Like, that is one of the funniest things in this movie.
Yeah, and he's like, welcome to Pirate Cruises. We put the rat in Pirate. And then there's another song.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say it now. All the songs in this movie are god-awful.
They're not great. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's, like, maybe one that I was like, it's okay.
I couldn't remember one of them right now.
Oh, I remember the Professional Pirate song, but that's because Tim Curry was singing it. Like,
Well, and it was the last song.
yeah. So, well, it wasn't the last song, but
Maybe not.
But so yeah, they sing their song, and then I wrote down, "Oh, Jim, please stop singing," because then he starts singing, and I'm like, "Oh God, please stop."
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. And then you have like Mr. Arrow basically telling everybody what to do, being really hardcore, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh, I didn't say that. Oh, I didn't say that. Oh, it's implied. It's implied. It's implied." Blah 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 blah. And then they have that stupid song with the kids singing. Okay. And then the roll call, which was really funny.
Yeah. So this was like at this part, I was like, oh, maybe there'll be funny parts in this movie, because it was still
Yeah.
pretty early in the movie,
Yeah.
and like this part was really funny.
Yeah, the roll call was amazing.
Big fat ugly bug-faced baby eating O'Brien? Hi.
Because just when he was my favorite part, old Tom, real old Tom, dead Tom.
Dead
There's
Tom.
like 3 different Toms.
Yeah, and one of them's a skeleton because he's dead.
Yeah. And then my favorite one was when they were like describing this terrible, terrible, ugly person, like big, ugly face, something, something, Brian, and it's like a really hot
baby face eating Brian.
Yeah, and it's like a really hot chick, but she's like, here.
And we never see her again.
No, and I'm like, oh, that was a waste.
And then Kermit's all angry because they hired all these horrible, terrible crewmates. And he's like, who did this? Oh, most of this was on the recommendation of Long John Silver.
Oh, I wonder.
Oh, shocking. They're all his men.
Yeah, and then he comes in to try to give him like brandy or something.
Yeah, and Kermit's like, no drinking on this ship. Which, I mean, there would have been an immediate riot. They would have
Yeah,
burned the
what I
boat
mean,
down.
even if they weren't pirates, what sailor is, in fact, especially back then, is not drinking?
Back then, Jim would have been drinking. Are you kidding me?
I mean, that's true. Yeah, that's very true.
So then there's more hilarious Rat Cruise stuff.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
there was just so many that just kept
Yeah.
popping up. I didn't write them all down.
I
but-
didn't really either, but and then we get another terrible Jim and Long John scene where it seems like Long John has a heart. Oh, my dad was a first mate too, mate,
Well,
and he
I
died when
mean,
I was 8.
He's just saying that to like, because he knows that this
Yeah,
kid
'cause
has
he's-
the map.
Because he's smart. He's a conniver. He knows how to get him, and it's kind of like it gets a little creepy, like he's grooming Jim.
A
And
little
it's
bit,
like,
yeah.
They might spend too much time in the cabin together or something. It's just a little weird. And then there's another weird scene of Kermit longing for Miss Piggy that makes no real sense in the
What?
context of where it's at.
Well, he's just looking at a photo.
Yeah, no, I know, but we don't know anything about it. It's just like,
Well, I think that's the
oh.
point, though. He's like longing for his lost love.
But they could have brought it up in a better,
Probably
in a more natural
like,
way.
yeah, because somebody could have been like,
Oh,
Captain,
what about
who
the
is
blah, 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 or like something about a love or something about a chick would have been like,
yeah. They could have thrown in a pig joke or something.
Yeah, and then suddenly Gonzo and Rizzo are kidnapped on the boat.
Yeah.
Gonzo gets tortured and he loves it because it makes him tall.
Well, yeah, they're like stretching him, and he's a Muppet, so he just like stretches.
He's like, ooh.
I'm taller. I'm gonna play in the NBA.
Yeah.
And all this stuff.
And they get caught. The 3 guys get caught torturing Rizzo and Gonzo.
Right.
They get locked in the brig. Beaker and the professor fix Gonzo by rolling him up like an old school
Window shade.
which was hilarious.
But before that, his legs and arms are all like.
Oh yeah, he was like tickling people long distance with his legs. He was like, oh.
Yeah, that part was funny.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Gonzo's an excellent character throughout the Muppet universe with his dick nose and his whole like weird attitude. Gonzo's great.
But then the captain Kermit orders Jim to give him the map because he wouldn't do it at first, and now he's like, I have to have it because
Yeah, you gotta
clearly
lock it
these
up.
people are bad.
Well, yeah, because I mean, really, they were gonna kill Jim if he had it on him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then there's another song.
The Cabin Fever song, which had like just the amount of mild stereotypical racism
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God.
Like it was just the right amount of stereotypes to make it funny.
Yeah, and because I wrote, let's throw in as many stereotypes as possible into one song.
Yeah. But it was about everybody, so it was fine. They made it funny.
I got cabin fever! I've got it too! Cabin fever!
I got cabin fever. It's burning in my brain.
I got the cabin fever. It's driving me insane.
Yeah, because they're basically there's no breeze, so the ship has been like stuck there apparently.
Just kind of stuck in the mud, yeah, like just out to drift in the ocean because there's no breeze.
Does that happen? Like,
Yeah, of course. If there's no breeze out there, you're stuck.
Oof.
Your motor is the wind, baby.
That's rough.
Yeah, otherwise you're just drifting on the currents, literally.
Gotcha. Okay. So then there's another conversation. Because like, is this? Oh no, that was earlier that the rats were having like the dance thing, and they were all like dancing
remember.
together, and then Jim and Long John were talking.
Yeah, John makes a visit to the brig, makes a big show about how terrible they are because Jim is delivering bread and water.
Yeah.
And that's all a bunch of BS.
Of course.
And then Jim blows his load, tells him all about how he gave the captain the map.
Right.
And he's like,
I'm so sneaky. And then he goes and tricks the Arrow first mate guy.
Gets his keys.
Because like, he like
sends him out because he's the only competent person.
it's so ridiculous because he's like, oh, you need to test these boats for holes because they can break. And he's like, but you have to go into open water. He's like, oh, great, cast me off. He's like, oh, do you want me to hold your keys? And like,
Yeah.
Okay. So he tells everybody that he's overboard.
They have a funeral.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
Yep. And then while the funeral is happening, the pirates that are in the brig break out and they steal the map.
Yep. So, and then it's kind of like nothing's happening except for Rizzo and Gonzo are eating apples in a barrel.
Yeah.
And they suck the kid in, and then the kid and Ratso and Gonzo hear all about Long John Silver's plans.
Right. And so they're, I can't remember exactly, like, they're...
Kill them all.
Oh, that's right, because the captain is like, oh, go ashore.
Yeah, he was gonna leave. He was gonna just take off and leave them there with no ship to return with.
Right.
To turn them crazy, which was not a bad idea. But Jim is stupid and goes and hands the cane to Long John. And instead of letting it go, he just gets pulled into the boat like a dumbass.
Right.
So they take Jim, take him ashore, play some weird molester games with him with a blindfold on.
Yeah. As they're like around the campfire. And
and then there's the Honorable Pirate song that Kelly loves.
Professional pirate song. No, it's that was the only song that I actually was like, okay, this song is fine. But it was the only song that Tim Curry was singing. So that's probably why I liked it better.
Yep. Yeah, maybe. And in this time, Kermit and Gonzo and Rizzo come ashore. They get kidnapped by the native tribe.
That are all pigs.
Yeah, all pigs. Long John Silver finds out he's captain because he left a bunch of men on the boat to overtake the 3 men that Kermit left.
Yeah. And basically, then, because it keeps slipping back and forth between, like, Long John Silver's, like, ordering Jim to show him where to use his compass or something, and I'm like, why wouldn't you have your own compass? Like, why do you wouldn't even need this kid at this point.
Right.
Which made no sense. And they're like having him read the directions and...
Right, which, why would the kid even read the right directions? Like, what's wrong with you?
No, they would have, like, stabbed that kid, like, 2 days ago.
Well, basically, while they were rowing to shore, what's the point of him after that?
Yeah, exactly. And
He's
so...
just dead weight at that point.
Literally.
Yeah. And
then Gonzo and Rizzo and Kermit are all captured and they're like tied up, but then they basically the pig clan or boars they start saying, introducing Miss Piggy, basically.
Yeah, and Miss Piggy's like, oh.
And, like, another decent part, because there was no kid in it, so, like, this part was fine.
Well, Miss Piggy is hilarious in this movie for the brief period that she's in it.
Yeah, because she
brings a lot of the adult humor into the Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently what happened is Kermit left her at the altar because he got cold feet. Apparently.
Right. And he's a frog, so he has cold feet.
So she, like, slaps him, and she's not happy to see him, clearly.
Well, kind of. And then we also found out that Piggy was f***ing Long John Silver, too.
Well, I mean, that's in a minute, because we're not quite there yet. But because there's the whole scene where they go to where the treasure is, and it's
gone.
It's not there. It's gone.
Long John Silver has a, they rebel against him.
For like a hot second, they have him tied up.
Well, yeah, they give him the black mark, but they gave it to him on a piece of the Bible, which he then uses to confuse them into not doing what they were going to do and thanking them for him saving them.
Right. And so then he's like, you better untie me. And so they do. And that's when they go back.
Oh, Mr. Arrow rose to the island and helps out Gonzo and Rizzo and Jim.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Kermit is still with Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
Because and it's kind of confusing because it's like simultaneously happening.
Right.
So,
and it's not very interesting.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, well.
Because on the one hand, you have Jim, Rizzo, and Gonzo. They find Mr. Arrow because he's still in his boat. And so they get him to take him back to the boat. But then on the other hand, now you have all the pirates are supporting Silver again. And they go back. And then they come across Miss Piggy and Kermit.
Yeah.
And basically that's when you find out that, like, she was not only dating
she gets around.
Yeah, she does, because she was with Long John Silver and the Flint captain guy.
Yeah.
Because Kermit was like, wait, him too? And she's like, I'm a pig. I need companionship.
Yeah, Miss Piggy likes to
Gross.
No surprise.
Gross. So they have Kermit strung up on like a rope over the ledge.
With a fire.
Yeah, and she's like, please don't hurt him. And he's like, well, you better tell me where the treasure is. And she was like she thinks that they're going to shoot him. So she's like, okay, it's at my house. It's blah, blah, blah. And so then they tie her up, of course.
Yeah, right next to him.
And they're like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, and
just
so
kidding.
Long John Silver finds the treasure. They scare the pirates off of the ship with Arrow as a ghost. Right.
Yeah, because Jim, Arrow, Gonzo, and Rizzo, they're all back, and they're like, oh, pirates are superstitious, and all the pirates think that Arrow's dead, so he pretends to be a ghost, which makes them all
so they all jump off the ship.
Yeah, which...
And then so Jim and Arrow and Gonzo and Rizzo drive the ship over to save Miss Piggy and Kermit in the net.
Yeah, and they completely miss the net. They just fall because the fire has and that was kind of a funny part because Miss Piggy breaks first, and then Kermit's like holding her, and he's like struggling because she's like, oh, you saved me, and it pans up to his face, and his eyes are like bulging out because she's she's a pig, she's so heavy.
She's heavier. She's way bigger than him. That's always how it is.
Yeah. And so, like, in the Muppets, that's always how it is? Is that, like, a running joke?
Yeah,
that's a running joke.
Yeah, she's way bigger than him.
Okay.
She does a lot of kicking.
Gotcha. But then they do fall, but they don't fall in the net. They, fall in the water.
Yeah.
But they get
No, they get caught by the old men.
Oh, that's right, because
I can't remember their name, but they're great. They're hilarious, and not in this movie, but in everything else.
On the show, aren't they, always sitting up in, the balcony or something, and they're always, talking to everybody?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
The cranky old dudes are hilarious.
But they were
I'm sorry to everybody that I can't remember their names.
But they were, on the front of the boat, you'd see, a mermaid on a pirate ship. They were, on the front.
They're, stuck in the front of the boat, on a vacation.
Right. He's like, we ended up here and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And they're, because then Miss Piggy's like, you saved us. And he's like, it was too late to save the movie.
Yeah. Which is another perfect Muppet joke.
Yeah.
So then there's this big old battle. between the pirates.
Well, before that though, when the pirates find the treasure, there's like Kermit and Miss Piggy, and this was before they fell. Actually, they were singing another song, like a
But see,
love blah blah blah. And it
this
was like
part of the movie was so terrible.
it was
that I
real.
had a
It was
hard
not
time.
great because then it was kind of confusing, and then they were like in slow motion, and they were like had all the treasure, and they were all happy, and but yeah, there is a fight on the beach after they get caught, and it's just a bunch of nonsense, typical shenanigans.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
I mean, the little interaction between Kermit and Long John Silver, Tim Curry's character, was actually really funny.
Well, anything with Long John Silver, once again, is funny, but it's hard to like really pinpoint like, oh, this was funny. It's just little funny stuff, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's all it is just little funny stuff.
Yeah, because so basically they win. I don't even remember exactly how.
Yeah, it was a little unclear. Jim somehow did something to make them win, but I don't really remember.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
But then, so everybody's locked up. Oh, Long John Silver still has the keys to everything while he's locked up, so he gets out, steals all the treasure.
How would they lock them in the cells if they don't have the keys?
They must have more than one set of keys.
I mean, I don't
think
so.
He somehow manages to get all of the treasure up to the deck.
With one leg.
Onto the boat.
Without waking anybody up.
Lowering the boat into the water to then be caught by Jim, who's practically crying.
Yeah, because he's gonna like blow his little whistle.
Blow his little whistle. And he's like crying, and Long John's like, "I loved you. You're a good kid. Don't do it. I'll blow your head out."
Right? He's like, "I liked you, but I'm gonna blow your brains out."
Yeah, I mean, and really, the kid could have ducked and then blown the whistle and been fine.
I suppose you'll be blowing the whistle on me now, won't you, Jim?
Suppose I will. You have to return to Bristol to stand trial.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. I got a terrible fear of hanging.
Yeah.
And fine.
But then he lets him go, and in the meanwhile, apparently, thanks, Lily.
Kermit's been watching the whole time.
Hold on.
This is part of the charm.
Right.
Kermit's been watching the whole time. He's like, "Oh, good job, kid. You're..."
And I'm like,
and
you just
honestly,
lost all the treasure.
I'm like, no, that's not good. He's like, "Oh, I happen to know that boat's no good." It's like, okay, great. So all this treasure is going to sink to the bottom of the goddamn ocean. Great.
Well, it's the arrow guy tells him, "I happen to know that treasure's no good, sir," or that boat's no good, sir, because he was testing all the boats or whatever. And then it, like, shows Long John Silver in the boat, like, sinking in the treasure, and so he has to, like, jump out of the boat, so all the treasure sinks, and he's, like, has to swim back to the island.
Right. So who knows if he even made it.
Right. Like, they're like, "Where are we gonna go now?" And then the captain's like, "Oh, it's up to Jim." Like, this 13-year-old kid, where is he? He's like, "Wherever the wind may take us."
Yeah, and the kid is just, I mean, we kind of underplayed it in the end of this movie. That kid is awful.
Well, so it's... When as soon as he said, "Wherever the wind may take us," I just really remember that line because they always used it in the promos for this movie.
Oh.
So I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So, and I mean, it wasn't a very long movie. I think it was like an hour and a half.
No, it was super long. It was an hour and 41.
Oh.
And it felt it.
I mean, I don't know that it felt super long, but I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, so what was your favorite part?
Basically, anything with Long John Silver in it. I mean, it's hard to pick out anything in particular because it's not that great.
There really wasn't. I mean, so this movie is probably good for kids, I guess, or if you really, really like the Muppets, I guess. I don't know, though, because, like, you liked the Muppets, but you didn't think it was that great.
No, I think it's terrible.
And, like, I remember this movie, like, being better than this, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe because you were a kid. I could see it being good for kids, but...
Like...
It takes a lot to get past that kid, and a kid wouldn't notice that as much.
Yeah, so I think if you're, like, under, like, 10, this movie's probably great.
Yeah.
But... So you say anything with Tim Curry's character?
Yeah. Or maybe even with Miss Piggy, which is most.
Yeah. Because I liked the part where she was like introduced towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That where they're like boom shakalaka laka boom shakalaka, like and all the not village people, the
tribesmen.
Tribes people. Yeah, they were introducing her. That part was funny. But I think actually all of the little bits with the rat cruise people were funny.
That was really funny too.
That was cute. I enjoyed that. So I don't think I really had like a favorite one part, but I think the rat cruise was my favorite element.
That's a good element. It's a good thing to pick because it's hard to have a favorite part of this movie.
It just like
this movie stinks.
It just wasn't very good. Like, I mean, I like there were certain aspects that were charming, like the Muppets, but
well, yeah, the Muppets are great, and that's the thing is like there are elements of this movie that are super great.
Right.
Tim Curry's super great. The Muppets are great, but like the way the story flows and moves, and the kind of lack of Muppets, and the terribleness of the kid, like the terribleness of the kid is the millstone around this movie's neck.
Because like you don't care, you know, what happens to him or anything. Like he's just like,
yeah, he's awful.
It's not good. But art, so the music because I know Christmas Carol Muppets has music in it.
All the Muppets have songs. And
okay.
This is terrible for a Muppets movie.
Gotcha.
Like usually the songs are really good.
Yeah, because I like the Christmas Carol Muppets.
At least from what I remember. But this one sucks. Like the music in this is not good, which is not helpful.
Because I mean, yeah, they have like the couple of songs that Jim sings that are both terrible because his voice should just never be heard in that way. The Professional Pirate song, the Heave Ho Here We Go, and the Cabin Fever song. And then they had the slow song that Miss Piggy and Kermit sang.
Which I couldn't even remember if you asked me.
Something about love. I don't know. I like the Professional Pirate song okay, but the rest of it was, for how many songs they had, was not very good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like last week when we watched Newsies, like those songs weren't very good either.
No, they weren't.
Just in the context
but
of what it was.
That movie just shouldn't have been a musical. They shoehorned the music part in.
Yeah, so main character, we've already
Jim terrible.
And he's blah. I mean I literally wrote blah.
I wrote lame, so there you go.
Like just not good, but yeah, definitely Tim Curry's Long John Silver as the villain was the real star of the show, for sure.
And he was barely even the villain.
No, because then at the end he's like being a nice guy or something.
Kind of good. And then even with Kermit being, I guess, the good guy, you kind of almost don't care. And same with Jim, like you just don't care, so it almost by default makes Long John Silver the good guy. Like it's weird.
Yeah. Who was your favorite? Because they have all the Muppet side characters, I guess.
Oh, well, Rizzo was the best.
Rizzo's your favorite?
Yeah.
Why is Rizzo your favorite?
Because he fit this movie the best. He did a really good job, and he was funny. They had good lines for him. He was a funny character the whole way through.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed Rizzo, but I did enjoy Miss Piggy. I think she's really funny.
Oh, that's not fair. Yeah, I think Miss Piggy also deserves a pretty big mention.
Yeah, no, she's really good. I enjoyed her quite a bit. So what did you think about the cinematography?
It was fine. It was just a normal Muppet movie.
Yeah, it didn't seem dated really, or
it didn't. I mean, really, when it comes to that, it's like if it's distracting, then it's bad. But it wasn't distracting.
Yeah, it was fine. Like I wouldn't know what year this movie was made.
Yeah, which is really weird.
For 1996. You would think it would be more...
It could have been made in 2015 or 1985, and I would have just said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This was made in 1960.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow, that was pretty good for
Tim Curry looks so young. What do you think your biggest surprise or disappointment from this movie was?
I was really surprised at how god-awful the songs were. That's really surprising for a Muppets movie. Just like, really? This is going to suck like that bad?
Yeah. For me, I think even though...
Oh, and the awful kid.
Yeah, the awful kid was bad.
Yeah.
Even though the movie was bad, I've never been a huge Muppet person just because it wasn't part of my life. I think I would like to watch more of the Muppet things now.
Well, they're
because
on the list.
No, they are, because I think I probably like them more than I thought I would. Like, I wasn't super excited to watch this movie. Like, I knew I'd seen it, so I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But, like, now I'm kind of excited. So I think that's probably my biggest surprise, was I'm like, oh, maybe I do like the Muppets more than I thought I did.
Fair enough. I mean, the story you can't really complain about because it is a Robert Louis Stevenson book.
Well,
the way it was told was horrendous.
But it's this interpretation of the story, and, like, Treasure Island is a classic story, but it was so, like, choreographed and boring, and, like, it just, the story was one of the weakest parts of the movie, other than the songs.
It really was, the way they told it, like, the back and forth, like...
It was just, like, I didn't care what happened to anybody.
Yeah, by the end, I was really done with this movie.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the not as good ones we've had in a while. But it's, like, the Muppets were cute and charming, so, like, I didn't, like...
Well,
it's not, like, close to, like Peter Pan 2 level.
Well, right.
But
so, my opinion is that, like, the Muppets have a floor. Like,
yeah.
There's only so bad it can be for a Muppets movie, especially a Muppets movie with Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Like, we're trashing it, but there are certain elements of this that keep it off of the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I did... Well, what was your rating?
No, you go first. You always have the first rating.
Good. So, I went back and forth because of those things, but I have to be true to what I actually think. So I gave this movie a 30%.
Oh, we are very close.
Because that's, like, my, like, high end of bad movies,
right.
Is, like, the 30%. Because I was like, this is a bad movie, but I still like and respect Tim Curry, and I like the Muppets now. So, like, 30% is, like, where I'm at.
So I gave it a 34%.
Oh,
which is basically the same thing. It's the floor. It's as high as you can get without being on the floor.
Right. It's like anything for me, anything that's below 30% is, like, just really bad.
Yeah. It's like sitting on the baseboard. It's like, oh, I'm almost on the floor. So what do you think the Rotten Tomatoes score for
I bet you this movie gets really high reviews. Like, I bet you it's like 8. I bet you it's like 70%.
You are very close. Critics give it 73.
Oof.
And the people give it 77. What fucking movie were these people watching? I have no idea.
You know, they probably saw it a lot as a kid, I guess. I don't know. Like, maybe if I would have watched this movie more as a kid and remembered it more.
Sounds like you watched it plenty, and I don't get it. Like the Muppets are so much better than this, and this movie is...
It's just, like, that kid was so bad. Like, so bad.
It ruined the movie.
It really did.
That kid in the movie.
And, like, the story just wasn't... And there wasn't enough Muppets.
To be honest, if there was more Muppets... and that kid just didn't exist, or whatever, it would have been fine. But that kid ruined this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
I mean, he made it bad, and that really upsets me.
I'm sorry, honey.
It's time for the next movie.
Oh, good. Well,
so we got number 258.
Okay, hold on. 258. So we've had 2 musicals in a row. 258. Is that in the 90s? Or 2000s?
Just barely into the aughts.
Is it animated?
I'm gonna say definitely not.
Oh, I don't really know any of the recent live action Disney movies, so I have no idea.
Well, I don't really know what to expect, but I have a feeling that you're gonna die.
Why? What? I'm gonna die? I don't want to die. Don't kill me.
This is the 2003 movie Lizzie McGuire movie.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I have 150% seen this movie probably 50 times. Oh my god.
So, I mean, I guess I really... Well, no. I kind of know what to expect.
You've seen me watch the TV show.
Yeah.
That's what you should expect.
So...
But, like, slightly elevated.
So it can't be that bad, which is funny for me to say.
But you always make fun of me whenever I watch this.
Of course, it's ridiculous, but it's still not going to be that bad, hopefully. God, hopefully.
But here's the thing, though. I haven't watched it in a long time, so...
It could be awful.
But I also do like Hilary Duff quite a bit. Like, I think she's kind of charming, so... And I obviously like Lizzie McGuire a lot.
The show, as silly as it was when I saw you watching it, was charming. That's why I'm saying it can't be that bad, but maybe it is.
It could be pretty bad, though.
Yeah,
it could be very bad. That is hilarious because, like, again,
this is one of our first modern live-action movies that's not a Tim Allen movie.
Yeah, because, other than Princess Diaries. I think this came out right after Princess Diaries.
It's another chick. Okay, yeah.
So you have no idea what it's about.
I mean, plot-wise, I have no idea. I know it's about Lizzie McGuire telling a story in her own voice, but other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of people out there. If you watch Lizzie McGuire, you're gonna be like, "Oh my god!" Even like it's just, yeah. So, wow. Okay, this has been. Well, I mean, I want to say I'm looking forward to watching it, but I don't remember if it's very good or what my thoughts were really. But I mean, I do like.
I'm looking forward to it because to me, I have a feeling I'm going to be able to make fun of it a lot, which will be fun for me. Probably.
But I feel like I'm not as excited or as nostalgic for this as Princess Diaries. But I do. I think I like this movie, but I'm trying to also go into these movies with like a.
I only say wow because when we first got Disney Plus, like right when it came out, like Lizzie McGuire was the first thing you wanted to watch.
I mean that is true. Maybe I'm downplaying it a little bit, but I'm trying to like play it cool, like because like the last time I was really excited to watch something, Great Mouse Detective, I was disappointed. So maybe I'm trying to like downplay it.
I could see the Great Mouse Detective in a different way because watching that movie as a little kid, I could see why you would like it, but watching it as an adult.
So this is one of those movies that I had no idea. I wasn't even on my radar that it was a Disney movie. Obviously it is because Disney created Lizzie McGuire, but I just didn't make the connection that I was even going to be an option.
I didn't know they had a movie, so there you go.
Yes, they did. They definitely did. So.
All right. Well, in the meantime, if you want to follow us on social media at Disney Movies with the Hearts, anybody knows how to use social media can find us that way. Send us an email at thedisneymovies@gmail.com.
Please like, subscribe, share, leave us a review. Those reviews do really help quite a bit, so we appreciate that.
Just subscribe. That's all I really want you to do. Listen.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No. So, in the meantime, this has been At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye!
Welcome to At the Disney Movies with the Hearts.
This week, we watched Muppet Treasure Island. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Oh, right. Sorry. Okay, let's start again. I'm sorry. It's been like a week. I forgot everything. I've had too much seltzer water. I'm drunk on bubbles.